You're at a poker table. They slam down their cards with a smirk. You lean back and softly say, "Interesting. What makes you so sure?" It's like pulling the rug 1 inch. Not enough to trip them, but enough to make them look down. When you ask that, you're chunking up. You're taking their map, their belief, and you're asking for the satellite view, the criteria. They have to reveal the assumption that holds it up. A friend says all politicians are corrupt. You say, "Interesting. What's most important to you about honesty?" That's a value elicitation. Now you know they value honesty. Later you pace it. "I agree. Honesty matters." And then lead. And because honesty matters, which politicians embody that for you? This works because the moment they articulate their value, it becomes the handle that you can guide with. Science says, when someone explains their certainty, they activate prefrontal cortex and language networks instead of the limbic reflex. This literally loosens the neural cement around a belief. A monk asks his student, "If the moon is your mind, what colour are its shoes?" The student blinked, and in that blink, his brain had no file folder for the question. That blank is the hypnotic moment. You can do the same conversationally. If that's true, what does that mean for penguins in Antarctica? Boom. Cognitive glitch. In that second, their brain is searching. That is when you pivot and see the new frame. Example, a person says, "Money is evil." You say, "So if money is evil, does your wallet need an exorcism? Or just a meditation app?" They laugh. In laughter, tension drops. Beliefs relax. Then you pace. Money can do harm, sure, but then lead. And yet, it also builds hospitals. What else could it be? Humour and absurdity. They trigger right hemisphere associative networks. Old frames loosen, new links form. Imagine someone driving 80 miles an hour toward a cliff with VR goggles on. You gently ask, "Okay, let's imagine you keep believing for the next 20 years. Where does that take you?" Suddenly, they're out of VR, seeing the cliff. A friend says, "I'll never trust anyone again." You say, "All right, hold that belief. Fast forward 10 years. Where are you living? Alone. What does that feel like?" Silence. Is that what you want? Now they're emotionally tasting their future. That emotional preview is leverage. Vivid future simulations, they activate the default mode network. Emotional salience locks in the new scenario. People will often pivot themselves if the preview feels awful. How do you already do this? When you ask a kid why 3 times, you're flipping certainty. When you tease a friend with something nonsensical, you're adding absurdity. When you imagine quitting your job and daydream, you're future pacing yourself. And you already do this unconsciously. The skill is bringing it on purpose. So how do you do it in new ways? Flip certainty silently. Just tilt your head, squint, say, and watch them fill the space. Add absurdity playfully. If that belief was a sandwich, what would be inside? Future pace positively. Imagine you practice this skill for 6 months. Who do you become? Why does it matter? If you don't do this, you stay trapped in other people's frames, living in mental cages you didn't build. If you do it, you become a frame maker instead of a frame taker. People feel drawn to you because you're not fighting them. You're gently steering the river they're already in. Karma-wise, use it for manipulation. You create distrust. Use it for liberation. You create loyalty, gratitude and respect. The patterns we get stuck in. Binary thinking. It's either X or Y. Identity fusion. I am my belief. Fear of judgment. If I speak, they'll think I'm weird. All of these dissolve when you apply. Flip certainty. It reveals assumptions. Absurdity. It breaks the trance. Future pacing. It reveals consequences. And as you listen to these words, notice how your mind drifts and returns like a tide. Every tide carves a shore. Every question carves a new possibility. So from now on, whenever someone asserts a thing, you naturally tilt your head and wonder, interesting, what makes you so sure? And as you do, you feel curiosity rise, humour bubble, and timing sharpen. When you wish to shift a frame, your mouth finds absurdity like a comedian. Your tone stays warm, your eyes kind. When you want to guide, you fast forward them in their own movie, watching them step into the future they're creating. And as they feel it, they shift. Each time you practice this, it becomes easier. Each time it becomes easier, it becomes who you are. And you'll use it to liberate, not to manipulate. Because that is the only way it works long term. So from this moment forward, you already know how. And your unconscious mind, it does the rest. A blacksmith forges a sword. He heats, strikes, cools and repeats. Flip certainty, it's heating. Add absurdity, it's striking. Future pacing, it's cooling. Do this enough times, and you've a blade sharp enough to cut through bullshit, but not through people. That's your tool now. Wield it like a craftsman, not a thug. Because in the end, the power isn't in the pattern, it's in the intention behind it.